So I'd like to begin with an experiment. And I want a person to come up here, somebody who considers himself or herself very strong or reasonably strong. Don't be scared. It'll be fun. Come. Please come. Yeah. He's not only strong, but he's agile. So he doesn't need to use the steps. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, you have your mobile with you? You'll need your mobile. So just keep it on the side. I'm not going to confiscate it. And put your arms like that. Yeah. And clench your fists. Which hand is stronger? Okay. Anyway. So I'm going to press your right hand with with my left hand. And we're going to see how strong you are. So you resist. When I try to push it down, try to see that I'm not able to push it down. Ready? Okay. So I'm putting all my weight. Nothing's happening. Now I'm going to put my full weight of 82 kilos on his body. So I'm jumping, but he's able to resist that. So he could be a weightlifter. Now I'm going to ask you to hold this cell phone on your left hand. So keep the right hand free. And again, resist it with all your might. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm only going to press it with 2 fingers. And you resist. Ready? So he's not able to resist it. Want to try again? Yeah. Okay. Put it higher up. Ready? Yeah. So what do you think is happening to you? The mobile. So, yeah. So, it is happening. Obviously, we can all see it's happening because it's holding the phone. And now I'm going to do something else. I'm going to fix, because you volunteered to come up here and subject your strength or lack of it to so many people. So, I'm going to put this small thing on his phone. Cover your apple. Okay. Now you can hold it again. And again use your strength. Ready? So you're back to normal. So guys, what do you think happened here? Sorry, I didn't get your name. Dinesh. Any bright ideas? Yeah, please. Come ahead so that people can see you, Bhavesh. Don't lurk in the shadows.
So I think before, when there was no mobile in his hand, and he was trying to put all his strength, he was able to do it. But because of the rays, or I would say the electromagnetic waves which travel when we hold a mobile cell phone with its network, I think because of that, the physical strength might have weakened to some extent, due to which you could, press his hand down with 2 fingers. But I think you had something which the environics is all about. When it was fixed, the waves or the electromagnetic waves were controlled to favor the human body or human mechanism. Or I would say the risk was mitigated to an extent that he could get his power back. or he could not weaken his strength and he was back to normal even despite holding the mobile in his hand. Something like that. So I think there is some
So
magic in your chip.
So thank you for trying, and I think you are partly there. But I'll give you another hint. The thing is that we all sit on aircrafts, right? Many of us have traveled to come to Dubai. So what do you hear in the announcement that they make in the aircraft about switching off mobile phones?
Airplane mode.
Yeah, so they give you a reason also.
Okay.
What is that reason?
So that the system, the aircraft system, do not get hindered because of
So
the.
they say because the aircraft systems are likely to get, it can cause interference.
Interference, yeah, maybe yes.
Now the communication system of the aircraft, which they are being talked about potentially being interfered with one mobile phone, how much stronger do you think that is from the body communication system? We all realize that the body is also a communication system. Our brain is communicating in a language, in waves, in vibrations with the rest of our body. We have a healer here who says that, they can tune into your vibrations, change your vibration, and therefore make things happen. So when it interferes, then there is a problem. But the aircraft communication is known to be 200 times stronger than the human communication.
Oh.
So if the aircraft communication can potentially get jeopardized, don't you think the human communication can get jeopardized?
Definitely, I think we saw the example.
So there is nothing which happened to his strength. So in the first case, Dinesh decided to obey me, because maybe he thought I'm not a bad guy. You thought I'm not a bad guy? Yeah. Yes or no? Yeah. Okay. So his brain sent a signal to the hand, telling the hand to resist. And the hand resisted with whatever strength he had. In the second case, when he held the mobile phone, the brain was sending the same signal to the hand, but it got interfered with, it got jammed.
Okay.
And that's why it did not reach the hand. So it has nothing to do with his strength, but it just caused interference and his hand fell down.
Okay.
With the third thing, there's a thing called the Enviro chip, that interference was sorted out. The radiation was not stopped, it was not reduced, it was not deflected, it was not absorbed, but which we will come to later. But I wanted to, instead of being very verbal, I thought I will start with this experiment and then we will go on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, no, this for you. Thank you. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to set the tone, that this is what potentially we are, each person is. How many devices are we surrounded by in our office, electronic or Wi-Fi devices in our office or in our bedroom? Have you ever counted? Take a guess. 5, 10, 15, how many? A number from anybody? 5. It's more than that. Where? Your workplace or your office? Your home? At home. Okay, let me tell you, I don't know where you... So, in an Asian country, you have a Wi-Fi AC, you have a Wi-Fi TV, you have a router somewhere nearby. You don't have one router, you have, when you try to put your signal, the flat above and the flat below and everywhere, you get about 3-4 potential signals. So you are affected by 3-4 potential Wi-Fi things. You may have a mobile tower nearby, which may be impacting you. And you have all kinds of electrical switches behind your bed because you're mortally scared of your phone getting discharged, right? And when you sleep, half the people I have spoken to don't know that even when your phone is on airplane mode, your alarm can ring. So they say that they keep the phone near the bedside or near the head so that they can hear the alarm in the morning. So potentially, we are surrounded by a lot of, and you might have some other gadgets as well in your room and things like that. So that's the, and in an office, of course, there's much more. You may have a printer, you may have various other things. You may have a server room somewhere nearby, etc., etc. So now we're going to move on. It's not changing. Oh. Oh, sorry. That's how technologically challenged I am. So now what has happened is that the global equation, and the other thing I'm going to promise you is that our slides are not going to be more than a few words. So as an audience, you're not going to struggle with whether you should listen to me or whether you should listen to the slide. And I will not struggle with whether I will be reading what is written in the slide or speaking to you. So I'll be speaking to you directly. So linear to non-linear means we know that various developments that have taken place, say about 30, 40 years back, what has taken 100 years, then took 10 years, and what has taken 10 years is now taking 5 years, and maybe in future what has happened in the last 5 years will happen 1 year. Because we are in the era of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence means that the human race has discovered or has accepted or has decided to believe the fact that our mind is not good enough. So the mind works at a certain speed and things like that. So we are saying that whatever our mind wanted to achieve, we're going to tell the intelligent system that this is the outcome that I want in 5 minutes or in 5 years or in 5 days, and you figure it out how to do. And you give a whole lot of data, you give the system an accessibility to data, what has happened in the last 20 years, 50 years, 5 days, whatever, and say, now you figure it out. Then what it figures it out, then he says, look, now you're not the boss, I know what's happening, and now I'm going to tell you what you need to do, because I'm more intelligent than you. You've created me, but I'm the genie out of the bottle. So that is what we are heading towards, and whether it is rockets, whether it is our cars moving, we are going to have cars which work automatically. We are going to have rockets, launchers. Elon Musk has talked about where completely it is going to be unmanned, and you have all sorts of things. So we are moving to a non-linear situation, and with the non-linear, we have to. The world is changing at a rapid pace. So today it is possible to print a car. With the technology, you don't have to actually make a car with metals and all that. You can imagine a technology. So that is what we are heading for. And what is the difference between fiction and science? Now the problem here is why we have a situation where we have such good minds in Asia. We have a good education system. Let's say in a place like India, an average person is spending about 25% of his income in educating the children. But in spite of that, we have very few patents. We have very few inventions. Can any person give me the reason why, with so much education, people being engineers, people being PhDs, why are they not able to do research and scientific discovery? I'd like to hear, as I said, I'd like to make it interactive. So, is there? Yes, sir.
I think the education system is such developed that it has become job-centric education system. no one is inculcating any entrepreneurship or maybe research kind of thing at the age of education when the child is learning something. These things are lacking. That's the reason we are into more into job centric education, that I'll get this much salary, I'll be in this position. If I complete this education, I'll get this salary, I'll get this position. So that's the reason I suppose.
Yes, that's true, of course. But what has happened is that we are talking about, you would have all heard saying that this is the age of information. That means the more information you have, the more knowledge you have. So they have made information into knowledge. Knowledge is not information. Knowledge is your common sense ability, your ability to intrinsically think things through. What is information is paid for. So when you open a website on Google, the person who pays maximum to publicize his point of view out of 100 things out of that website, the first 5 that will show up is where the maximum social media activity is done and the maximum money is spent. And that becomes knowledge for you. So the problem is, and we have a very hierarchical system. So suppose I'm an engineer from IIT and somebody comes and says that, look, I have made this scientific discovery. I'll say, look, I am from a reputed institution. I've got 40 years of technology experience. I've not heard of it. So it's not technology. So fiction, most inventors are people who are uneducated. Because a person who is educated, our education system teaches us to be skeptical. Teaches us always to question and to ask why. An inventor is a person who does not ask why. What does an inventor ask? Why not? Why and how is pretty much the same thing. So an inventor starts with a premise where he imagines something and says, can this happen? And then he says, why not? Let's explore. So then he thinks about that. He tries about 10, 20 experiments or something. We had earlier the notion that the earth is flat, then it became round. Then there was the law of gravity. So science is not what you do in a lab for 20 people or 30 people and say, yes, it is proved, and then patented and all that is QED. Sciences were born in our ancient cultures out of empirical science, out of observation. We saw that something happened thousands of times again and again. And people observed it, and people translated that knowledge from generation to generation. Today what happens is we don't share knowledge. A person who's inventing, he closes himself. He doesn't share that with 5, 6 people around the world what he's doing, because he's scared that the other guy will do it faster and patent it. So we don't have a collaborative approach. We don't have this Vasudev Kutumbakam. The world is one, is one universe. So when fiction today can be science. If we allow ourselves to imagine and reimagine and go forward. So either technology, the idea is, when we talk about technology, it's not about scaring people. It's saying that we need technology. We need to adopt more of it. We have set ourselves on our irreversible path of more digitization. But can we use it safely? Can we put seat belts on technology? Like any new food that you are introducing, because I know a lot of you are interested in food and nutrition, it is tested for safety, whether it is all right for the human being. The technology is also being consumed. Data is being consumed. So we have to know whether it is safe for us, and we don't have a choice, but we have a choice to use it safely, if not judiciously. So, as I said, we need safety belts. Like you do safety belts in cars, you need safety belts. So, in environics, we have tried to not decry usage of certain things or say, don't put mobile towers, don't put this thing, that thing, but we have tried to say, what is it that we can do to make people safer? So we are in the business of enhancing safety and well-being of people. It's a very people-centric thing. This chip that I put on Dinesh was not for the health of his device. It was for his health and for people around him. So there's another device, there's another thing that we have. It's called gadget disinfectant. I will urge you to use it while we are there in this seminar. It's a 24-hour gadget. Do you know that your mobile phone screen, have you read that it is 20 times dirtier than your toilet seat? How many of you all know that? Only one. Oh, you also know. Okay. So quite a few people know. So my next question is, if somebody comes and asks you that, do you touch your toilet seat to your face 2,000 times in a day? What would be your reaction? You would be horrified. You tell that person, are you mad? But that's precisely what we do, because we put our mobile phone on our face at least 100 times a day, if not more. Because the screen has electrostatic charge. So whatever is the bacteria and virus in a vicinity of almost, I would say, 4 inches around wherever your phone moves, the bacteria and virus is attracted to the screen. And it stays there. So we've created a product called the Enviro Life, which has been internationally tested, where you put one spray. So it's like giving your phone a shower. A screen is not supposed to be cleaned with a sanitizer. It'll actually spoil the phone. So this, with a microfiber cloth or a tissue paper, if you spread that as a spray around the screen, it protects it for 24 hours. So if you want the next 24 hours protection, I'm happy to circulate one Enviro Life around with the help of the organizers, and you can use it and pass it around. Can somebody give it to people? Here. Please take it from me and give it to. It can just be passed around. You can open this and start using it. Yeah, there's a cloth and there's this thing. Okay, sorry for this diversion. So idea is to practically experience certain things. We also try to make living spaces and working spaces healthier, not only from Wi-Fi, but from certain kind of ground emissions. So these are some of the products. As you see, Enviro chip is for the phone. It comes in various shapes, a round shape, triangular shape. It comes for the laptop also. This is, of course, a bigger one for the TV. But there are things for the laptop. There are things for the iPad, different shapes. And these can all do the same thing. There is another product called the Enviro Globe, which looks like this. So what happens is, after we invented the Enviro chip, people asked us that, what about if we are in a conference room, or if we are in a room and we are sleeping and there are so many devices around us, and there's a mobile tower nearby, what do we do? So this is a space e-smog corrector. I wouldn't say neutralizer, because it doesn't affect the signal quality and strength. So it takes care of 300 square feet of built-up area, or a radius of 10 feet. And whatever are the waveforms which are coming from electrical gadgets, so we call it e-smog. I don't know if any of you have heard about a disease called EHS. electro-hypersensitivity. Swami ji, aap sune? You have heard? Okay. So they have discovered that this is a condition where people, when they come near electrical gadgets, their hands and body starts, it's a nervous system reaction. The hand and body start shaking. So you have to take off the lid and just spray on your screen and wipe it with the cloth. So 5% of the Swedish population suffers from EHS. And you don't have to shake it, you have to just press, yeah. So 5% of the Swedish population, Sweden was the first country which introduced Wi-Fi in the world. And this condition is irreversible. And the thing is that they expect that by 2030, as early as that, almost 5 to 10% of the people in the world will suffer with this disease. So they have to live in special houses which are clad where the electrical thing cannot, they have to use special kind of mobile devices and things like that. So that is the dimension of the problem which we are not seeing just now. So that's why, so what this device does or what the chip does is our body waves, if you see an ECG or an EEG, they are random in nature. Whereas any electrical impulse is systemic or like a sine wave. So it's like that you and I are speaking in English and somebody speaks in, let's say, Russian or in Telugu at the same time, then we have to shout louder so that our conversation is not interrupted. So this is what happens, the interference happens. So what these devices do, they radiate in terahertz and they carry the waves like a sea wave carries a twig for 100 of miles without distorting its shape, or the signal strength and quality is maintained, and it carries it from your device to your body in a manner which is resonant with your body. So it carries it in a random form. And that is what happened. So when the chip was put on this thing, he had the same mobile, but that waveform was changed so that it did not cause interference with the body. So that is the technology which has been now certified by MIT, by a Philips lab in Cambridge, where they've said that the signal strength and quality does not change, because otherwise the mobile phone manufacturer can say, because you put this, my warranty doesn't hold, or that's why the signal is not coming. And it's now been tested by an institution called All India Institute of Medical Sciences in India, which is one of the premier medical institutions in the world, on brain activity. So it has been found that the mobile phone disturbs the alpha and the theta wave functions, which is meant for relaxation. And one of the major casualties, that's why even the cell phone manufacturers, have you all read the warnings, 4 warnings written on a cell phone? Anybody read? Nobody? Okay, let me tell you. Recommended talk time 6 minutes an hour. Text more than you talk. Always use hands free. And keep the device at least 10 millimeters from your body at any given time. Body includes the hand. So, anybody complying with all these 4? Or at least 3 out of the 4? That's why you need protection. So that's the way it goes. So this I've told you about EnviroLife already. And we've been fortunate to be able to make a difference now to almost 6 million. We've touched the lives of 6 million people. The major benefits that they've had is less stress, better health. And health we check by checking their resting heart rate before and after our interventions. And if you want to try it yourself, check your resting heart rate or your pulse rate talk on a mobile phone for 10 minutes and check it again. I guarantee you that depending on your immunity, it will go up even if you're having a normal conversation with your friend, boy or girl. Uh, uh, it will go up between a count of 3 to 8. And if you use the EnviroChip, it will probably not go up or go up very minimally. So that's how we check whether we've made a difference to people. And of course, we take a lot of data. So we have now about 12,000 data points. So hotels use it as a USP. So the major problem as far as digital and ground emissions are concerned is that the biggest disease in the world, I have a friend called Dr. Musarraf Ali. He's the physician to the Queen, to the royal family in UK. And he asked me, which is the biggest disease in the world? And I said, cancer, maybe something else. He said, no, sleep. Because 50% of the people cannot sleep properly or enough hours. And if you don't sleep well, then your heart has to work longer. So more wear and tear on the body, many other things. So this addresses sleep. If you can use gadgets, stop using a TV, looking at a TV at least 1 hour before you go to sleep. Don't see the mobile in darkness and use protective things. So these are some of the scope of our work. So thank you very much. And I'd be very happy to answer any questions. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
The chip that is to be used.
The chip is
How
actually
long?
made out of certain inert materials which radiate in terahertz when the mobile is on or when the device is on. Otherwise, it's a passive device. So it can last for as long as it's stuck on your mobile or laptop. Normally, what we find is that people have to replace their smartphones in 2 or 3 years. So it's not easy to stick it on to the other one. So it will last you as long as your mobile lasts you or as long as your laptop lasts you. That's the simple answer.
That's wonderful.
Yes, please.
The next obvious question is how expensive is that? Is that expensive than your mobile phone?
How expensive is that? As much as a cup of coffee will cost you in this hotel.
Wow, brilliant. That's
Okay.
good. This hotel.
It costs, at the retail level, it costs 800 rupees. I think the
Sir.
cup of coffee will cost that much in this hotel, if I'm not wrong.
Sir, I have a
40
question.
dirhams. Yeah.
Is there any measurement or say a quantum of this kind of rays, which, I mean, how we should know that now it is more than expected range of rays we are encountering through use of
So
mobile?
we are not actually, as I mentioned, we are not changing the nature of the emission. We are not changing, we are not at that Maruti kitna deti hai wala thing, you know, we are not reducing the emission or the radiation. It remains exactly the same because we need the signals for our devices to work. So the measurement is clinical trials. So like we've done clinical trials at Max Healthcare, at AIMS, with large statistical sizes, somewhere 200 people, somewhere 50 people, on sleep quality, on resting heart rate, on heart rate variability. So these are all clinically certified because we are doing it for people, your health. So we are not reducing. So there's no measurement of less or more. Measurement is on people.
Okay.
And now with all these 2,600 establishments that we've done, we've got almost 12,000 data points before or and after. So measurements on health, measurements on machine breakdowns, that also is impacted sometimes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions?
It's available everywhere. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it on Flipkart, you can get it on Chroma, in the Indian stores. Overseas, not so much yet, but we'll be getting there. Yes, sir.
There is the mic.
Yeah. The mic is behind you.
Thank you very much for a wonderful talk. Did you made any efforts to contact these companies, mobile company, laptop companies, or device making companies to educate and put it as a part of their instrument?
Oh, they are overeducated. So when two of my batchmates were chief of telecom companies when I invented the EnviroChip in 2011. And I went to both of them and I said it would be the best way because they can put it every mobile and they can use it as a USP. And it would have been available to the customer much cheaper because what we retail at 800 when we make the marketing effort, we could probably give it to them at 50 rupees if they buy millions of it and no intermediaries and things like that. So they told me, Ajay, we know all about it. But we are international companies. We are scared of litigation. Litigation costs a lot of money. So if we tell them that we are doing something to protect you from radiation, they would tell us, what the hell were you doing for the last 15 years? So anybody who's got cancer in the last 15 years would sue us. So unless the customer gets agitated enough and alive enough about it, yesterday I had spoken about 5G. So everybody is saying 5G kab aayega, jaise ki koi bhog laga hua hai, you are getting some prasad or something from somewhere. But 5G is a killer. It's 300 times stronger than 4G. But the government gets a lot of revenue. The Indian government and governments worldwide get lakhs of crores from spectrum fees every year. Telecom companies, they tell you, you talk to your girlfriend the whole night, we won't charge you any money. So they are actually encouraging you to use and talk more and things like that. The caution is written in fine print. In Berkeley, they have passed a law now that these 4 warnings that I am talking about, they are now printed in bold letters like you have written smoking is injurious to health. So that now they have, after 3 years of litigation, the telecom companies had to agree to print this in the state of California, and they are doing it now. So that's the telecom company story.
Just to follow up on that, we remember the mobile towers earlier. Taking example of India, there are 10 network companies, everybody putting their own strength signals, every building, and then kind of a message started. It will disrupt health if you allow it in the apartments, on the terrace and all. I understand the government has come up with a new regulation, said that you can share the towers. So considering 5 years, 6 years back to now, the signals on your apartments has been tremendously reduced. That may be another reason because of the signals that earlier they were spreading were 5 kilometers, now it is more than 25 kilometers. So I think when you bring the health into the consumer's health, definitely there is a awareness and the effort from government side are also definitely considering to improve to summarize reduce it. If anything that benefits to the normal health of the people who are using the device, because nowadays we cannot say to reduce use of the device because online classes, virtual meetings, you need to spend at least 5 to 6 hours with the gadgets and a common day.
It's a long subject, but to tell you very briefly, why it is hazardous, it's not how much it can transmit, but what is the heat intensity, because we are using substandard equipment on our towers. The same thing, towers in Germany and all the emission level can be much less as far as the heat emission is concerned for the same signal connectivity. So that's one thing. Secondly, for every tower that is taken off, there are 100 boosters that are put. So when you don't get a signal, what do you do in your apartment? You ask them to put a booster. In your office, what do? You have routers. So 10 years back, we didn't have routers. We didn't have boosters. So they are all mini. Your phone is also a mini tower. Because we see the tower, we think the tower is radiating all. But the phone is right next to you. It's working on the same principle as the tower. The booster is working on the same principle. So there is no difference. Ultimately, the signal, the Wi-Fi, the EMF or the electrosmog is being conveyed to you and is surrounding you. You can't see it. And COVID has taught us that what is invisible is the most dangerous. What you can see, you can deal with it.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Ajay.
Thank you.
Thank